Morning, everybody. We're going to start today's Goodyear 400 media availabilities, and we're joined on stage now by Ross Chastain, driver of the #1 Worldwide Express UPS Chevrolet, and the former driver of the UPS car, NASCAR Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett. We're going to start with you, Ross. Ross, talk about just the honor of being able to run that classic Dale Jarrett paint scheme out in the track Too Tough to Tame.
Yeah, it's all sinking in right now. Just walking in, and I'm gonna do it. I've known Mr. Jarrett for a few years. He doesn't like me to call him that, but I have, and just in passing in the garage and talking on the phone. You've called me after my first Cup win, and we talked for a little bit that night, and but then walking up here and knowing that we're walking up here to do something together is absolutely incredible. So I can't even think about what it's going to feel like to pull out on track in that car yet.
Dale, you had two vehicles that were honoring you this week. And Carson Hocevar's truck last night honored you, and then Ross's car. And then you're going to drive the pace car for tomorrow's Goodyear 400. That's got to be quite an honor for you.
Yeah, quite the weekend here. And, this is such a special weekend anyway, without it being the 75th year of NASCAR and celebrating that, and then having all of the 75 greatest drivers, as many could get here, special weekend. But then to see how the teams and drivers and sponsors have bought into this event for this weekend, the Throwback. It's just incredible. When Ty Norris first called me about what they were going to do with Ross's car, it was exciting, to see that. Had no idea. You see a lot of these paint schemes, and they understand that they have different sponsors and things, but to see that car, Ross's car, and see just how much it looked like my car back then, aside from the numbers, just amazing. And just hope he has a good weekend. The first time that I ran that paint scheme here, I didn't have the fastest car that day, but somehow we won. So those are the good days when you can do that, and hope that Ross has that kind of success also. And it's just fun to be a part of it. And I had admired Ross for a lot of years here. I enjoy his talents and watching him race, and look forward to tomorrow's race.
Good deal. We're going to open up the floor for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We're going to start here at Bob and then go to Jordan.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. Ross, yesterday you said you don't want to be fighting, but I'm curious, what's the trigger point? What's the point where, for lack of a better term, you feel like you have to take things into your own hands?
I don't have any preconceived, ideas of what that would be. It's more just, in the moment, living and reacting. But knowing this is big time auto racing. This is not hockey. So, I stand by last week what happened, and I'm not saying that every time in a little bit different situation it's going to react like that. I want to talk to guys and have conversations. But last week was too far.
Go next to Jordan, then to Mike, then to Al.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. You said you and Noah kind of talked it out on Monday a little bit. Can you walk me through that? Did you approach him? Did he approach you? And what was that conversation like?
Yeah, he called me Sunday night. I was still in the garage, actually, and I didn't feel like I had really the bandwidth to think about it or talk about it. I was just happy we got out of there with the top 5 and was ready to get home. And then I called him back Monday, set up to Hickory to run a late model stock. I'm kind of doing a lot of this racing stuff backwards, and now I'm driving a late model stock at Hickory for the first time, and so called him on my way up there, and we talked for a little while, and was in a really good place, and then both went to Millbridge Monday night, and with the Chevy program we ran micros and had a blast, and just bonded over fast little sprint cars, and it was good, and just laughing and joking, and been good at the gym all week.
Go to Mike and then to Al.
Two things, Dale. What was your approach to conflict of this sort when you were driving? The tempers flared, things got out of hand. How did you deal with it?
Yeah, much the same way. I mean, you try to talk things out. You want to do it as quickly as you can. Right out of the car, most of the time is not the best time, but it's sometimes the most convenient time to do it. And depending on which side you are, if you're the person that felt like, something went wrong there, that created your incident, then you're more apt to go try to find that situation. And again, that is generally not the best time, but I wanted to talk face to face. And I know a lot of things are done over the phone and through a text message, which I don't know how you can ever get something across in a text message the way that you want, but I know it's a different world. But my way of doing it was I wanted to meet face to face as soon as I could. And if we could both cool down a little bit from the situation, do that. Had times that, it got to a heated situation. I was trying to think back this week because I was asked if there was ever a situation where a punch was thrown. It came close a few times, but I can't ever remember anything like that. But I totally understand it. This is, people, that we're sometimes a little quick to condemn people for certain situations. You have to understand the competitive nature first and foremost. And then you've just been in a race car for 3.5 hours, and you're hot, you're tired, and the last thing that you want is somebody putting their hands on you. Talking's one thing, but I totally understand Ross's situation, and I think that's a tipping point. It's for most people, most competitive people, that you've crossed the line right there. And but it's good that they could talk it out and get things done.
The cars are different now. The tires are different here. But is the way you race Darlington, you think, still pretty much the same? How you set up a pass, where you pass, has any of that changed much?
I can't see that it's actually changed that much. I know that speeds are certainly different, and the way these cars apparently drive, and the challenges the drivers had. But we've all had challenges through all the different eras as to what this racetrack presents. And I think it's the same challenges that I watched my dad go through. It's not, he and I were just talking Thursday night about when he won the Southern 500 and won by 14 laps. That's obviously not going to happen. That was a high attrition rate. It was a very hot day. They're going to encounter hot conditions tomorrow, but the equipment is so much better. So it's always been something along that. But you can look back through the years, the races, the things that have happened, where they happen, a lot of the same things through the years. And the one thing that figuring out, you have to attack this track, but in a way that you can do it for a long period of time. I think probably David Pearson was the very best at that. He made this look easier than it is. But for most people, this is hard because you do have to attack so hard and so often. You can't just ride around here at any point in time and get yourself in a position to try to win.
Go to Al, then to Mark, then to Claire.
Yeah, Dale, Al Pearson, Auto Week. Your dad was known as Gentleman Ned. He hardly ever got any kind of conflict. You sort of learned from him, because I don't know that any of us remember a time when you were maybe accused of being a dirty driver. Has the sport changed to a point now where you almost have to sometimes be a dirty driver? Whereas back in the day when you were driving and your dad was driving, you might be able to win on talent and car alone more so than just on attitude. Has it changed that much? And the other question is, how is your dad?
Okay. Let me address this first. That talking about a dirty driver, the way that Ross, and I know that he's in the conversation a lot because of his driving style. I've seen nothing from Ross that he is a dirty race driver whatsoever. Is he an aggressive driver? Absolutely. Do you have to be more aggressive today than maybe in the past? I think there's merit to that you better be a little more. I've said a number of times, I'm not sure how I would survive in today's world as far as a driver goes, because I know the style that I had. I know the style that my dad had. Now, because there weren't as many cameras back in the 1960s, there were times that my dad was in things. I remember those. And I asked David Pearson once in an interview that I said, my dad was called Gentleman Ned. I said, did you ever have any run-ins? And David's answer was, well, I never called him Gentleman Ned. He wasn't that to me. So there were times. It just wasn't as publicized. Everything that these guys do now, we have slow motion of every move and are able to critique and criticize, if you will. But Ross's style is his style, and it's very good. And as I told him on the phone the other day, I hope he doesn't change that because of pressures that come from outside. He has to do what got him here and got him opportunities, and I hope he continues that because it's a style that has suited others well through the years. It's not for everybody, and we don't want, and I talk we, the media and fans, we don't want everybody to be the same. And so, I think this is, his style and the way he's going about it. Getting blamed for everything that goes on the damn racetrack is getting a little old, in my opinion. Hell, guys on the opposite side of the track are saying it was Ross's fault, so getting a little ridiculous. But so that being said, yeah, my style was different. I went about things. There are a lot of these guys I wasn't as talented as them, so I couldn't do the things with the car. I had to do things my way, and a lot of that was from the way that I watched my dad and the things that I learned from my dad and even from David Pearson and looking at him through the years. To answer your question about my dad was hoping and wanting to be here. He, over the last 8 to 10 days, has gotten it. There's nothing wrong. It's just, I mean, he's 90 years old, but he gets really, really tired. So it's almost 3-hour drive down here and then back home and then being here tomorrow with the heat and everything. He doesn't get around fast anymore. I'm not sure if it was all of that combined or if it was the fact that he knew that my brother Glenn was going to be the one driving him down here and he wasn't sure he could go through the riding with him for that long a time. But he's doing pretty well. We sat in the other night. I intentionally bring up races about from back in the 1960s, and he can't remember talking to me 2 hours ago, but he'll tell me lap by lap and who he's still pissed off at in some of those races. So.
How's Zach doing?
Zach's doing okay, playing in Gastonia in the independent league, so still trying to make it, and got a few offers or talks going on with some major league teams, but we'll see. Still going well.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to Mark, and then we'll wrap up with Claire.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Ross, how do you look at leading the points at this particular point? How important is this regular season championship to you? And is it more important now, those bonus points and the fact that you haven't won and those playoff points could come in handy? So how do you look at all this right now?
Yeah, look, I'll always take one more point than one less, and it's just in today's world, it's just you're just trying to grab as many points as you can. I missed out on a really big opportunity last week by not staying out for that stage 2 late restart that the 22 ended up winning. That would have been a execute on the restart, win the stage, and then reset only a couple spots back. And Phil Surgeon made the call to stay out and to do that. And I saw how many people were pitting, and I errantly decided to pit. So those little things, I just look at like I missed 10 points right there. But everybody's missing chunks of points every stage and every race. So. I think that's it's big. It's so crazy to think that we're leading the points, but then again, it's not. Like we belong there, and we belong to be parked at the front of the garage. I've been here for this spring Darlington race and parked second from last. So it's pretty wild to walk down that same line, and I still catch myself yesterday coming in ahead of the truck race and Cup Tech and just walking purposely from this end to that end to just look at it. So. I still take these moments to try to realize what all this is. This isn't always going to be the case. We're not always for the rest of time. We're not going to be the Cup Series points leaders. So some special times right now, and we keep running like this. I fully believe the wins will come.
Claire
B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I really enjoyed Dale's comment about don't succumb to pressure from the outside. I know your team doesn't pressure you. Are you feeling that pressure? I was listening to the podcast of Kyle Larson with Brad Sweet, and he said, I like it. He said, Ross Chastain owns it. You got to say it. He owns it. And he said he's moving the needle and that he may end up being more popular than Chase Elliott. And I'm wondering if you're feeling the pressure from outside. Certainly, I know the fans that like you are, probably piling on it. What are you feeling? Are you feeling that pressure? And not from your team, Right.
Well, I think there's two things, right? There's on the track and off. And on the track, I am I am comfortable making these guys uncomfortable, and that's gonna not always come across well, but I'm okay. Get out of the car, and I'm learning to be comfortable in this role. I'm not the guy that grew up wanting to be on camera. I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to farm watermelons. I wanted to be like all the other guys in our town and that we knew that I grew up around. And I wanted to drive my 3/4 ton diesel truck to the farm and work and grow a crop and go home. And you can go out there at the field. You can go all day and never see anybody if you want to. I mean, everybody thinks about Florida and the beaches, but you come inland where we're at, and there's nobody out there. So it's something I'm growing into off the track, and I don't always, sometimes I'll get on camera and I see it when I watch it back. I'll kind of bring my draw in and protect, in my mind, but just being myself is the best thing I can do, and if people like it, they do. I'd say last night at the truck race, it was maybe 70-30, cheers to booze, or I'm interested to see what Sunday is. But no matter what, I'm proud to be, moving the needle, and I hear it, I see it. People come to me either online or in person, and they're telling me the good and the bad, and I kind of just walk away, and I'm like, that's pretty wild that they're watching my racing and they care that much. So I'm learning to be comfortable in that role too.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning, and good luck to both of you tomorrow.
Thank you. Yep.
Thanks.
I'm nervous about my job tomorrow, so I can tell you that. I've been behind that pace car, but I've never been in that. So we'll see. Thank you.
Ross, do you want to drive the truck? You're supposed to say that.
I know. Carson got it last night.